He doesn't say it, but everything about him acts like you still live inside him. And what if the absence you feel is also felt on the other side? I'm Naira Elowin, and today you're going to see what he never had the courage to say. But his body has been confessing for a long time. Today you'll understand what a man does when he tries to forget you, and fails, and you'll learn how to recognize the silent signs that it's still you, even if he pretends otherwise. He doesn't sleep, not because he's not tired, but because his mind still wanders through places where you exist. When a man tries to forget you by force, the first thing to break down is his body. He gets restless, paces around the house, turns on the TV but doesn't watch, changes playlists but doesn't listen, switches workouts, bars, styles, but never fills the emptiness. You think he's erased you? Look again. His mind still carries you in the details he tries to ignore. Neuroscience explains, emotional attachment activates reward circuits that don't shut off just because of physical absence. You're not there, but his brain still acts. Like it could reach you. It's like a song stuck on repeat, a memory with an echo. Even in silence, you're still screaming inside him. He starts chasing distractions, buys things he doesn't need, talks more than he listens, smiles too much for people he doesn't know. But if you look closely, it's all performance, because the real exhaustion is internal. You felt that, haven't you? That kind of insomnia. That's not physical, it's emotional. When the longing doesn't fit in the chest, the body twists trying to quiet what the heart still screams. He might say he's fine, that he's moved on, but pay attention to the patterns. That anxious hand to the back of his neck, those eyes that search but never settle, the silence that falls when someone says your name. His body is in crisis because your absence has become too present. And here's what you need to understand. Not every kind of missing someone is loud. Some show up in the agitation of someone who no longer knows where to put all that feeling. You don't need a message. You need clarity, and that clarity is there in the repeated gestures, in the sleep that never comes, in the life that moves forward, but stumbles over every trace you left. He shows up, out of nowhere, without a clear reason. I forgot a sweatshirt of mine at your place. I remembered that show we used to watch. Think it's coincidence? It's not. It's emotional calculation. No man comes back by accident. He's testing the waters, gauging your memory, and most of all, checking if your door is still cracked open. When he mentions something from the past, he's not just reminiscing, he's probing. It's like casting emotional bait and waiting for your reaction. If you reply quickly, he moves forward. If you hesitate, he pulls back, but makes a mental note. This casual memories game is the most common tactic of a man who still feels but doesn't want to surrender. He pretends it's natural, but carries the anxiety of someone who needs to know if he still has space in your world. Do you see the pattern? The messages make no sense. They come after days of silence, or just when you finally stopped looking for him, because the goal isn't to restart the relationship. It's to make sure he still has access, and if he comes back, with no real reason, it's because he wants you to invent one. He wants you to say something, reopen something, reignite something he didn't have the courage to sustain. But you don't need to interpret ambiguous gestures. You need to read the silences between the words and understand. A return without reason isn't affection. It's control disguised as longing. You typed with a racing heart. Does he want to come back? But he never said that, and you started filling the silence with hope, a hope he never promised. Stop accepting presence without intention. Presence without commitment is just absence with a delay. He deletes photos, unfollows you. Silence is your name, like that's how healing works. But none of that is true closure. It's all for show, because deleting things online doesn't erase what's inside. He makes a point to look like he's moved on, blocks. You disappears from social media, comes back looking different, but his eyes are still sharp, watching your steps without admitting he still feels. This is the paradox of simulated disconnection. He wants to seem distant, but keeps orbiting, avoids you publicly, but asks about you in coded ways. Goes silent, but never fully disappears. You think he erased everything? Actually, he recalculated. He made your absence into a new kind of presence. Now you live in the emptiness. He's trying to fill in a rush. Deleting photos doesn't fix what ended without closure. Unfollowing you doesn't break the bonds he built with your absence. Silencing your name doesn't stop the memory from screaming. He tries to reorganize his life, but every attempt to rebuild exposes him, because what he denies shows in the effort to seem okay. Have you noticed how he changes the way he posts or suddenly shows off too much? Those are the cracks, the clues that reveal the conflict between trying to forget and failing. You've deleted photos too. You've stopped mentioning his name, but you still dreamed about him. At night, still looked for signs that he saw you. You two aren't so different. But now it's your turn to see things clearly. Someone who truly cuts contact doesn't make noise. Someone at peace doesn't have to perform absence. Don't interpret the disappearance as a decision. Interpret the trail as a confession. He doesn't send a message, but your name starts to surface in the wrong mouths. Mutual friends accidentally mention you. A cousin makes a comment. A mutual friend slips up. He asked about you. Coincidence? No. He knows exactly what he's doing. When a man doesn't have the courage to reach out, but still feels you, he outsources the contact, turns you into a topic just to see if he's still remembered. Because asking about you is the coward's way of staying close. It's calculated. He plants doubt, gauges reactions, tests how. Your name echoes, pretends he doesn't care, but hopes someone tells you he mentioned you. It's a strategy of indirect presence. He doesn't show up, but he makes himself felt. Doesn't say it, but he spreads it. It's like he's saying, I can't talk to you, but I want you to know I'm still thinking about you. And that creates a dangerous psychological game. Because when you hear, he asked about you, a part of you reactivates hope. You start interpreting minimal gestures as massive signs, and you forget. If someone wants to come back, they come. If they want to talk, they talk. He may deny it 1,000 times, say he doesn't feel, that he's fine, that it's in the past. But the world around him gives him away. He still carries you. You know it, because you've done it too, talked. About someone you didn't have the courage to reach out to, asked for second-hand glances, for disguised contact. But now, it's time to choose differently. Don't be the audience for his emotional theater. Don't accept being an indirect presence. He doesn't speak to you, but he speaks about you, and sometimes that's louder than any message he could send. He builds a narrative in your absence, one that protects his ego, not your truth. Says you were too intense, too much, that it just didn't work out. But behind that script is someone who never stopped checking if you've moved on. He pretends he's moved forward, but keeps one foot in the past. Lurks through anonymous profiles, listens to songs you loved, pretending they mean nothing now. It's a silent addiction. He craves the feeling you gave him, without having to deal with the weight of staying. He wants you to miss him, but not so much that you move on. He wants to haunt you, not love you. Wants to echo, not return. Because coming back would require vulnerability, would demand he admit he still cares. So instead, he creates noise without presence. He chooses to be a ghost instead of being real. And here's what you need to remember. Presence isn't proven by proximity. It's revealed in impact, and if he still measures his steps by yours, then you still matter, even if he pretends otherwise. But you don't have to wait for him to catch up to his feelings. You've already walked enough circles in his silence. You've already translated too many half gestures. Now is the time to choose peace over pattern. Because even if he can't say it, his body, his habits, and his silence already screamed it. He didn't forget you. He just hoped you wouldn't notice how much he still remembers. If he wants you, let him say it. If he won't say it, then let him stay silent, truthfully. He changes his haircut, starts hitting the gym more often, posts his progress, talks about goals, shares his achievements. But if you look closely, you'll notice none of it is really about him. It's still about you. This reinvention isn't authentic. It's strategic. He wants you to see it, to notice, maybe even to miss it. It's an attempt at an indirect reunion, where the stage is his new self and the audience is still you. You've seen this before, that ex who starts dressing differently, liking what you liked, listening to the music you introduced. It looks like growth, but it's emotional performance, because true change is quiet, and he's making noise. He's not rebuilding because he discovered who he is. He's rebuilding in hopes of being seen by someone who knew his rawest version. He hopes you'll see him and think, he's changed, but changing to be seen is still neediness, still unresolved absence. You don't need to seek that recognition. You don't need to look back, because if the change were real, he wouldn't need your eyes on it. He would just keep going. But that's not what's happening. He creates versions of himself, like billboards for your memory. He wants to get your attention, without asking for it, wants to prove worth, when in truth, he's lost authenticity. You've done it too. Posted a photo hoping he'd see, pretended to be fine, so he'd realize what he lost. But now it's different. Now you understand that change is only worth it when it comes from within, not from someone else's absence. Don't be seduced by these new layers, because not all growth is genuine. Some are just desperate attempts to recover what he let slip away. He starts listening to the music you loved, watches the shows you recommended, reposts quotes you used to say, as if he's still unconsciously trying to keep up with you. This isn't coincidence. It's emotional resonance. When a woman leaves a deep mark on a man, she becomes part of his emotional repertoire, and even without realizing, he begins to mirror the life he lived with you. He starts thinking the way you thought, feeling what you used to say, adopting habits that were never his, but that still carry your scent. It's the reflection of emotional bonding. Memory becomes an internal GPS. He follows paths you once traced, even as he tries to pretend he's lost the map. You'll notice it in subtle gestures. Caption that sounds like something you'd write. A travel destination that used to be your dream. Refined tastes that he used to ignore and now suddenly celebrates. It's as if he's saying, I don't know who I am anymore without what you taught me to be. But be careful. This isn't romance. It's identity confusion. He blends with you because he hasn't yet learned to separate affection from emotional dependence, and that confusion makes him imitate you, even if he doesn't want to come back. Makes him try to live a version of himself that only existed with you. Have you ever done that? Caught yourself doing something just because it reminded you of him? Tried to move on, but carried his mannerisms into your day? That's the mirror of pain. But it may also be a sign that deep down, he still feels. Still, you no longer need to see yourself through him. You no longer need him to recognize your presence in his reflection. Now's the time for you to take inventory. How many of his actions still carry your hidden name? How many of his versions are still about you? He says he's fine, but his eyes lost their light. He's distanced from his friends. He's lost joy in the little things. He locks himself inside his silences. And no one understands why. It's a crisis with no name, because admitting he still feels would mean weakness, and male pride often prefers collapse over confession. He starts sabotaging relationships, doesn't open up to anyone new, gives up quickly, gets irritated easily, shuts down for no reason. That unnamed pain turns into self-sabotage, and he doesn't even realize he's losing himself trying to erase you. Research shows unprocessed emotions in disconnected men manifest as physical, and behavioral symptoms, insomnia, irritability, lack of focus, addictive distractions. All of it is his body saying what he doesn't have the courage to admit. You've lived this. You've tried to smile at the world while bleeding inside, pretended it was just tiredness when it was grief for something. Still breathing, even when no longer beside you. Now it's him. He might be with someone else, but he's not truly present. Might be in new places, but nothing touches him because the absence he feels has your name, and the emptiness that fills him is shaped like you. He won't admit it. He'll keep posting smiles, talking about projects, saying he's fine. But the truth lives in what he's lost and can't explain. In his disconnection from the now, in the lack of purpose behind his wins, in the fatigue that never leaves. You don't need a declaration. You don't need to find redemption in his suffering. You only need to understand what he doesn't say. His body already screamed. If he knocked on your door today, would you open the door or open your eyes? Because what he feels or won't admit can no longer be what determines your steps. You've listened enough. Interpreted gestures, clues, silences. Now it's time to decide based on what's clear. You don't need to be remembered to exist. You need to be respected to remain. He might feel you in every corner of his routine, but if he doesn't have the courage to choose you, he doesn't deserve the privilege of your waiting. If this message echoed something in you, click subscribe so you won't miss the next truth that might hurt but will also set you free. Now tell me in the comments, which of his signs confused you the most, but now makes sense?